The following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers. Oh, there we go! They touch!
This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Frankie! Down to the inside, and Hoosie's off!
Messenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up, I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart, I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
Years ago, or about 200 odd broadcasts ago, we were asked, can you guys commentate and produce Monday Night Skippys after our friends over at BSR-TV couldn't do so anymore. And 4 years on, we're still doing it. So hello and welcome to our 4-year anniversary of Club UK&I Monday Night Skippys, presented in support of the Campaign Against Living Miserably, CALM. Will Vincent here, along with Rachel Whiteford and Spa-Francorchamps. In fact, 3 of the 4 commentators who have ever commentated on this series. And well, we're at a moody Spa-Francorchamps here today. It is 74 degrees Fahrenheit, high humidity, almost no wind at all. And Rachel, I'd like to call that kind of sticky, muggy weather, almost like what we've been having in the UK and most of Europe over the last couple of weeks.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Well, yes, absolutely. It really is that same kind of horrible weather, to be honest. The air is very thick, which does mean that the air pressure could affect how the car's aero performs, but more in these conditions. They are going to have a lot of corner ability for this, so expect to see too wide through some of these corners that we don't normally see. They're going to push this one. They're going to feel like the cars have got real confidence behind them, so the race is going to be good.
Yeah, and Linus, this could well be, as Rachel said, one of those races where we're going to see too wide for likes of Rouen, too wide for likes of Lafange, Chicane, too wide through Stavelot and Blanchimont. All of these corners, this could be a fantastic race. And qualifying, it's pretty close as well.
It very well could be, and with the long straights we have, I wouldn't be surprised to see even 3 and maybe 4 wide coming down to the end of some of them. So whoever backs out last is going to be the leader coming out of each of these corners. And at the moment we have the 2 championship contenders at the top of the qualifying as well, so we're in for a cracker of a race here today.
Yeah, Fahim in the number 8 car, 2:46.433. Bill Fraser, second place right now with a time just over a tenth of a second back. Simon Edwards third, Jack Hobbsworth and Leigh Hoods in the 5th position. Ben Daniels, Robert Plumley, Clark Williams, Darrell Taylor and Nick Sigley round out your top 10. Well, Rachel, I was actually about to talk about your famous 1-second bracket, but it's pretty small here today. Only 8 drivers in that 1-second bracket.
You know, Will, that bracket is always a very telling indicator. For every race we run in this series, you can tell how close the race will be by that bracket. When it's small like this, you tend to see a lot of separation, which means the cars will split up a lot, but with the guys we've got up in the top 8 at least, I don't think they're going to separate much at all, especially with the draft, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, qualifying is over. Let's have a look at your starting grid for this Monday Night Skippies. And it is Fahim Atanides starting on pole position here today. Qualifying time 2:46.433. Bill Fraser second place. Simon Edwards in third. Jack Hobbs in P number 4. And then you got yourself Leo Hughes in the number 42 car in 5th. Paul Grillo in 6th place. Clark Williams at the end of qualifying sneaks up into P number 7. Ben Daniels in 8th. And then 9th place will be Robert Plumley. 10th to Darrell Taylor. Rest of qualifying coming up on your screens as it is right now. As ever, a variety of drivers here of all different classification levels on Club UK&I. And then Monday Night Skippies. Spa, it's overcast. Who's going to be the winner, Rachel?
It's one of those tough calls, but I think with the performance he's had recently, Fahim Atanides has been a great shout, but you can't really count out Edwards, so I'm not sure Bill will get it tonight.
What about you, Linus?
I think it's going to be Mayhem, and Clark Williams, he's going to be sitting there lurking as usual and come out the winner of this one.
9 laps is our journey today around picturesque but moody Spa-Francorchamps. As we're just waiting now for the last of the drivers to head themselves down to the starting grid. Using the classic pits here today, so the first thing they're going to be doing is going flat out all the way towards Lacon. So these drivers are going to have a very good start. Otherwise, we're going to be seeing four wide up the hill at Air Rouge and Radion. Last couple of drivers then on the grid, waiting for those lights to go on top of the RaceSpotTV gantry, ready for our restart here at Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. Lights go out, we go racing at Spa.
It's a great start by the front group out there, getting a nice run off the line up in towards this first tough section onto the Kemmel Straight once they get to the top of Air Rouge Radion. Nice simple line through for everybody as the draft will already take effect here, Linus. They're getting themselves into a good position. Clark Williams makes a move on Grillo, just as Will Fraser goes as well.
Everyone's sticking side by side with Fraser, obviously getting the draft on Fahim, and he's moving out straight away, and that's going to be a 3 wide as Edwards comes as well, and Hobbs is going to be looking to make it 4, but he's not going to find a gap, so this is going to cost Fahim Atanides 4 or 5 positions. It's a 3 wide behind him as well, and Simon Edwards going to go from 3rd to 1st down at 1st straight away and take the lead.
Yeah, we did see as an incident at the rear of the field. A couple of drivers are out already. That is Stephen Nope and Reese Thorner's out. Thorner's put no qualifying time set by him. So he was trying to have a good start, but it all went wrong for him as they come down into Rivage for the first time. It's Edwards and Fraser, then Hobbs and Hughes and Atanides all the way down, Rachel, into 5th place.
Yeah, it's not been a great one for him at the moment. He's really pushed all the way back there. But behind them, Grillo back now into the 7th spot as well. Makes his life a lot more difficult. Plumley is pushed up as well. He's had a very good start to this one. One to watch, of course, Paul Thurston, 14th place in qualifying in the end. But this is a track he's typically very good at. So a top 10 result is probably a likely result for him. Simon Edwards, he was one of the 2 drivers I mentioned. He got himself out front really early. Bill Fraser, I think he jumped a little soon with that move. It's one of those first runs where the draft is huge, Will. Gives him a massive advantage here. This train, though, is leading all the way back here. Well, right back through the field. No separation yet with these conditions.
I am seeing 34 drivers in this lead pack. Having a look at Seymour Harding, who's battling it out with Christopher Kelsey there. Got 20th place on track. Well, this is our whole thing. That high humidity, Linus, what we've got is a very bunched up field. And now Hobbs, I've got a feeling, is going to try and work with Fraser over Edwards. They come down in towards the bus stop chicane. 2 wide already. We said it was going to happen. 2 wide into Blanchimont.
They are, and it looks like he's going to clear him, but Edwards going to get the run back on the outside. Hobbs is looking to make it 3 wide, and here comes the next car behind him. That's Lear Huge, I think, and he's going to try and make it around the outside, still side by side, but Edwards is keeping the lead, and Hobbs actually gets up to 2nd, but he's running really, really wide, so that's going to let Fraser get through again.
Yeah, we've got ourselves another driver out. That is Alan Chapman. He's had himself an issue, but 2 wide, 2 deep in towards La Source, 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th place. I will say one thing though, Simon Edwards able to pull out a bit of a gap there. He's pulled himself up to 1 second. Now that would be important if he can break it over the 1 second barrier, which he's done already. But look at this, they're going to go side by side now in towards La Source and Rachel. They do this, there's a potential that Edwards could drive away with this race as Fraser and Hobbs just settle it down through Radion.
Absolutely, as the pack in general starts to split up here. That is something that can happen. Fraser wants to get side by side. Here comes from behind Antonides as well, 3 wide. This really helps Edwards. He's got a huge gap now as these guys go 3 wide behind him. However, Will, the draft is one of those things you have to think about. As 3 wide even further back now with Grillo, Plumley and Williams there, sorry, but with the draft effect, you know, you can catch up to a solo runner at the front at a track like Spa, so this might give him a respite for now, but it's certainly not over and out as the gap is back down a little bit again.
Yeah, gap is about 1.1 seconds right now. This is where Edwards, if he's got it in him, really needs to push. On board of Paul Grillo in 7th place. Robert Plumley ahead of him. Plumley's actually had a good start to this motor race, Linus. Up now solidly inside your top 10. As behind, he's still got battles going on all over the place. As we just had Ron Marshall and Fraser Williamson. They were going at it 2 wide a moment ago. But what I'm going to call the main pack, almost feel like Tour de France here today, now goes from P2 down to P16.
It does, and it's a huge field so far, and that's a lot thanks to the draft. But as you were talking about Robert Plumley there, he's been in the right position coming onto that straight both of the laps so far and made up position, so he's looking to have a solid top 10 finish here today as they're still going at it for 2nd place, as the 3rd place, even as Hobbs has pulled away, Fahim has pulled away a little bit in 2nd and is closing in on Simon Edwards again, so he's not going to have an easy race today. But Hobbs and Fraser going at it for 3rd, still single file though, but he's really looking to get a gap there, Fraser, but he just can't find it.
Yeah, here is Bill Fraser though over Jack Hobbs. They're going to go side by side. Exit Stavolo 2 that run towards Blanchimont. Fraser has the inside line that will help him in towards Blanchimont. Behind, you got yourself Hughes as well in the 5th place. Grillo and Plumley are there as well. Bill Fraser pushing very wide there, Rachel, on the run towards the bus stop chicane.
Yeah, Fraser's really throwing it all out here. I think he's struggling a little bit in these conditions, Will. He's just not quite finding his rhythm in the car. He's one of those drivers that's always been typically better in slightly more slick conditions where he can hang the car out. Here, it's more about being smooth, which is not one of his strong suits.
Yeah, Barry West has just had a moment. As a consequence of that, I believe he's fallen well down the field right now. We're on board with him. This one could well be into Blanchimont itself. Number 31 car ahead of him that was on track, that was Jonathan Sheen. As we have a look towards the bus stop chicane, of course, the bus stop chicane has been a place over the years where we've seen a number of different issues. Actually, no, take that back. There was another car off that is down into the bus stop chicane. We caught it.
Oh, we got a crash at the top of the Rouge.
And yeah, we have, and it's Ben Daniels involved there, Linus.
I think they just stacked up at the top of Eau Rouge and ran into the back of each other, and he actually ran into the back of Clark Williams and just lost traction over the curb. So that was a chain reaction.
Big luck.
Oof, there's a replay, Rachel. I mean, that could have been a 15-car incident had Daniels spun the other way.
Oh, absolutely, and even if he'd just gone a little bit faster or slower with that spin, it would have been a huge incident for everybody else, and they would have ended up with cars all over the place. One driver I want to kind of bring a highlight to real quick, though, Will, is, I think it's Leah Hughes. Probably Welsh with that sort of name, but up in 5th, as this is his first round. Of course, his helmet there is white, green, and red, so yeah, he's a Welshie. First race for him that I've seen in this series, and I tend to remember all the drivers here, but up in 5th place, doing phenomenally well for a first time in this run.
Yeah, in a Benetton livery. Now, this is the Benetton livery, of course, after Michael Schumacher. Sorry, from before Michael Schumacher even joined that team. So a classic Benetton livery on that car. Fantastic to have a look at. But yeah, running in P number 5, worth noting, by the way, Simon Edwards has now fallen down into 3rd place. It's Fraser who leads away, Antonides in 2nd. So you're right there, Linus. We talked about your 2 championship leaders out front. They are out front right now. And it's going to be interesting. Do they work together or do they just scrap it out the entire way?
Don't think working together is going to help much here unless you can pull a gap of about 1.5 seconds. So and that is not going to happen by the looks of it, as he's moving up the inside now. Fahim trying to get the lead, and here comes Edwards as well, and he's going to get into second place unless Fraser can outbrake him coming into the bus stop chicane. But we also got Hobbs looking to join him. They're all going to be single file coming down into the bus stop.
Yeah, Darrell Taylor, by the way. Oh, look at this mid-pack. It's fantastic to watch right now. You got yourself Darrell Taylor, Paul Grillo in the mix there. Anthony Catt, Robert Plumley. Plumley has dropped back down into the 10th position. We go on board of him. He's got like neon yellow tyres there. Makes it very easy to spot him in the number 147 car. But as they come past start or finish line, you see the snaking here. And Rachel, I mean, it sounds a bit weird to talk about this, but this reminds me of IndyCar oval racing right now. You know, hold your line, work with others in the draft, switch your positions around, use that draft to your advantage, but then you've got to remember to defend at some points as well. But not every corner, not every pass is going to be the end of the world.
Absolutely not, and you're absolutely right there. Skippy racing on these big tracks is exactly that. It's IndyCar oval racing. In fact, I'd say it's Indy, to be honest. You've got the corners, you've got the different style of driving rather than hold it flat and go. But here's a mark of how much this series has changed and how drivers have progressed. Darrell Taylor used to be solidly in the 20s. You know, he was right there at the back of the mid-pack. Right now running in 7th, 4 wide there with himself, Grillo, Plumley and Clark Williams. Plumley and Williams used to always be, sorry, Williams and Grillo used to always be ahead of Taylor. And look at that, Taylor just went 4 wide and took the lead of that pack. This guy has come on so far. Big contact there. Plumley and Grillo slamming wheels there. Grillo rejoins, but I'm trying to get replay of that wheel. Some damage there. He's got about 2 wheels for a moment there, but yeah, Darrell Taylor, massive progression there. But Grillo, as Plumley just washed out in the corner and donk, off he goes to the grass, rejoins safely, but might be some suspension damage for him.
Yeah, Plumley, he just basically took too much curve into the final part of the corner. Apparently that corner does have a name, which I never remember exactly what it is. But now they work themselves through Prouan for what is their 4th of 9 times around this racetrack. And one of the things I love as well here, Rachel, about Monday Night Skippies is that in the 4 years that we've been doing this, we've seen drivers elevate themselves up. I mean, when we started doing this, I mean, it was Sebastian Joe pretty much winning the entire time. Then he added himself, of course, over to the World Championship Grand Prix Series, and we had the likes of Blake Townend, of course, from Radicals Online. He's a master in this car. But what we've seen over the years, I mean, Fahim Atenaides, for example, is that perfect example of what a couple of years running this series every week can do, is he goes for the race lead.
Yeah, it certainly does, and that's actually one part of the Lacoum complex there. Well, its name actually is. It's corner 9 of Lacoum, but named after a small town just at the end of where that road originally used to head to, because of course in the original 60s layout of Spa, that road went all the way down past that point, carried on to a whole different section of the racetrack. So that's part of the history of that sequence we have now. But at the moment, Fahim Atenaides out front there with the number 13 of Fraser right behind him. Simon Edwards, 3rd place. Behind that, Hobbs, Lear, Williams, Taylor actually next up in that group, so he's running in 7th place. They are, though, about 4 seconds back at this point.
Yeah, as we are on board right now, Nick Sigley in the 14th position on track. Lots of action still going on here. Plumley side by side right now with Anthony Catt. They're going to stay 2 wide, or almost going to stay 2 wide. Was that a slowdown penalty there, Linus? I'm not sure. For Plumley, did he just get out the gas as they work themselves in towards Air Rouge once again? And Plumley, I don't know what he's doing right now.
He had a very weird line there. It didn't look like a slowdown, but he kept it to the left for very, very long. I don't really know why, but here he's got the run on Taylor coming up the hill. Catt is going to follow, and they're going to be 3 wide again coming down the straight. And there's the next car behind him. Is that Grillo going to try to make it 4 wide? He's going to have to dive to the inside. Oh, he's going through the middle instead, going to stay behind. And it'll stay 3 wide, but it's Anthony Catt taking the lead out of this group.
It's good to see a Chelsea car actually move forward once in a while. I know, I'm sorry, you got to put it on. Monday Night Skippies, of course, we've always been about the puns, and well, let's make one about a soccer team or football team. We'll have to call it football here, as the drivers head themselves through Rivage once again. On board of Matt Cox right now, as he's battling out with Clark Williams. He's on his inside as they head themselves on the exit of Rivage through Race Spot Corner, which I am sad to say, Rachel, will not be called Race Spot Corner for too much longer, because it's going to be named the Jackie X Corner before too long.
There you go, the Jackie X Corner. That would be a fantastic name for it, especially for that driver to be immortalised like that. He certainly deserves it, as the racing getting more exciting here, of course, in that second pack. Taylor's been passed by the driver of Paul Grillo. Was behind them. They also have the, I think that's the 866 of Matt Cox, who's moved himself forwards as well. Great fighting here. In fact, I think Paul Thurston's moving up as well. He's joined that fight. Might get up to his teammates soon. Although we have seen a bit of a breakaway there by Cat and Plumley in that second pack. Up at the front, though, is Edwards back out in front.
He is. Lifetime in scoring at 50 shows someone else out front. That's because Alan Chapman has had himself an incident and is now out of the event. Having a look then at Anthony Jones in the Peaks and Space Muppets car. Well, we are a bunch of Muppets here on RaceSpotTV, but we thank you for being with us here tonight. Jack Hobbs, Bill Fraser, P4, P5, as they head themselves towards the bus stop chicane. They're actually nice and quiet. Behind, they're still looking for a piece of real estate as they come 3 wide in towards the bus stop chicane again. Taylor, Cox, and Williams there, going 3 wide there, leaders, as they work themselves through the bus stop.
Somehow they make it work once again, and we see Williams going slightly wider coming out of the chicane again, but he's going to pull ahead of Nick Sigley, so he's going to stay inside the top 10 as well. Behind him they're going side by side down towards the hairpin, but it's actually going to be 3 wide as well. He's going to be able to hold it on the inside. It almost hits the wall, but that is Paul Thurston coming out with the lead out of that little group ahead of Anthony Jones, and Adrian Hendy going side by side with Jones down towards Eau Rouge, and it's going to be 3 wide even, unless they all back out, and they do, kind of.
They do, and Paul Thurston actually had a moment in that Bananas car, B-A-N-A-N-A-S, as they came on the exit of the bus stop chicane. We saw that one as Thurston was able actually to get a much better run out of that source than I thought he was going to do. But ahead, you've now got Robert Plumley, Anthony Catt going at it for 6th place on track, and this second pack is looking as though anyone can finish at the front of it. But the thing is, Rachel, is that these drivers have got to remember that they are in the run for the championship, as well as them just having a fantastic day's worth of racing at Spa. Fraser leads from Edwards at Tenida's in 3rd place. But he, right now, needs to figure out when he's going to start pushing.
Absolutely, that's the critical part for them. There's only 3 remaining. Things start to get a little bit more interesting in terms of your positioning. We've seen passes in Blanchimont fairly regularly. That is something like to keep their eyes on, of course, because that becomes a critical juncture for the race. You could possibly get even 2 more passes after that point before they get to the line here, which is around the front stretch.
We also like to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed to RaceSpotTV over our 4 years of doing this. We finally hit 10,000 subscribers over the course of the weekend, and thank you to every single person that's checked out a Monday Night Skippys broadcast over the years as well. Of course, this broadcast is brought to you in support of CALM, the Campaign Against Living Miserably. Check out the link in the description. We'll talk more about that one after the race. Clark Williams versus Matt Cox. This is going on for the last spot inside your top 10, although just ahead of that, Plumley and Cat, and Plumley had pretty much that entire car off the track at Stavolo, going to the outside of the driver of Cat in towards Blanchimont. What we got here, Rachel?
The front pack here just had a problem for Bill Fraser. He ran a little wide in coming out of Pouillon, and well, Antonida has decided to say no, you're not getting back in line here, as he lost some speed and got pushed very, very wide there. So a bit of a juggle going on, but that's put, of course, Antonida's up to 2nd place there past Fraser, as Edwards still leads the way.
Yeah, as the Welsh Dragon Hughes heads himself to the outside in towards La Source. Can't do anything, however, over the driver of Jack Hobbs. And one thing I always worry about here, Linus, at Spa, is just how close people get to that wall on the inside of La Source. You always think someone's going to hit it. I've seen 1 or 2 instances over the years, but they take it a millimetre close. As Fraser right on the rear now of Atanides on the exit of Radion.
He is, and they're coming down the hill. They're probably going to go 3 wide here with Fraser as well coming down towards the next corner, and Fahim is actually going to clear Fraser pretty early, and it's and Fraser is going to do the same to Fahim, I think, unless he can outbrake him here on the inside. See what happens side by side behind him as well, and Hughes is going to make it up to 4th place as Bill Fraser heads back into the lead. As he gets a bit loose, so Fahim is going to have a chance to get back up the inside. Side by side down the hill to the next corner. Fraser goes a little bit wide, but Fahim has got the inside, so he's probably going to be able to clear.
I was going to say, Rachel, has there ever been a driver who's won their first Monday Night Skippys event? Because Hughes is looking fantastic right now, but I do believe that Benny Simonson might have won his first race.
I think he did, in fact, as I drudge through the knowledge I have in my head from this series. Yeah, I think Benny's the only one that's done it so far. Hughes could be on the table, but honestly, nothing against the guy. He's performing phenomenally well, but I just think with the likes of Fraser, Edwards, and Antonides up front, unless they crash, I don't think he's got much chance. Those three are going to be duking this one out between themselves, but it's possible.
Well, of course, you say, unless they crash. And, well, there's always a possibility when you're racing as hard as this. On board now with Clark Williams in the number 98 machine versus Matt Cox. Battle going on for 8th place on track. Give you a list of the retirees so far here today. We have ourselves Stephen McCaffrey out, Mark Murphy, Reece Saunders out. Reece Saunders had an incident at the rear of the field on that first lap, as well as Stephen Noakes, who's out of the event. Alan Chapman is out of this one as well. A number of drivers have had to make pit stops there. Christopher Keeble, Jamie Thomas, Chris Morris, Neil Dawkins, Matthew Forrest, Simon Maltby, Carl Handley, and Simon Thomas as well. Only 2 drivers, 1 lap down the MP40 and 41 right now, as Paul Grillo is involved. Oh, Paul Grillo's had an incident actually here, Linus.
He has, and I'm trying to locate where that happened. I will come back to you as soon as I can find him.
We just got the back end. I mean, that car's been sliding around for a few corners. I'm wondering whether it was...
Oh, they're off again.
Yeah, whether it's something else. Yeah, Paul Grillo's out of the event. Trying to work out where this was. And so you can see, I mean, that car was drifting through the Farnley chicane that time by. So I've got a feeling it happened around Rivage on the track. But Anthony Catt, Darrell Taylor going side by side, Rachel, as they work themselves.
This was running into Lecombe. He was too wide there with Catt, and well, I believe if we literally that preceding lap there. Looking at what's happened here, Catt ended up in the middle of a 4 wide, hooked the wheel there of Grillo, and it took Catt and Grillo off. Both rejoined, but Grillo seems to have definitely suffered suspension damage. Catt, I'm not so sure about. Looking at him, he seems fine, so unfortunately it seems to have come off worse there for Grillo as the two connected.
Yeah,
in fact, they're going 3-4 wide again.
From we had a crash between Adcock and Thurston as well, where Adcock went off, collected the car of Adrian Hendy, and then these two guys you were just talking about ran straight into that as well, and collected Fraser Williamson, so quite a few people falling out on that lap.
Yeah, there's the incident with Grillo. We saw that on the screen with that number 40 and number 10 machine as well, the Chelsea car having themselves some incidents. But one of the things that is worth noting is it's often high stakes, high reward here, Linus. We've got a lap and a half to go in this one. And for a lot of these drivers, they realise that they've got to put a lot on the line if they are going to get themselves a victory. As what we notice, your top 5 have actually spread themselves out quite a bit. But this is all going to come close back together in the next lap and a half.
Oh yeah, down the straightaway, Fahim's lead will be absolutely gone, even if he manages to stretch it out to a second. But it's they're gonna have to push to keep up with him. But I think they're gonna catch up. And one little mistake from anyone, and you're not gonna win this race. So it's you're gonna be on the limit without crossing it. That's really what it is. And they've got a 10-second gap now down to the battle for 6th.
Yeah, it's always a case of how hard do you dare push. Top 10 then, Fahim Antonides leads by a total of 6.5 tenths per second over Jack Hobbs. Simon Edwards is in that 3rd place right now, so 4th place. They're going side by side in that battle for position as Fahim leads, to say, over Bill Fraser, who's right now runs in 5th place. Clark Williams in 6th, Matt Cox in 7th, Anthony Catt in the 8th position. 9th place is Darrell Taylor, and Nick Sigley rounds out your top 10. Rachel, how important is it, the fact that the start-finish line here is located after La Source rather than before?
That's critical. It invites a whole extra pass, Will. Of course, if you're close enough, it can be done. Someone can sneak 1st or 2nd in this one just here, as the 361 of Hobbs nearly did there on the car of Bill Fraser. Very nearly. It's possible. We've seen it in the past. But at the moment, Antonides is looking very strong onto this final lap, and The gap might be his undoing here coming up a Rouge Radion, because he could lose some serious time as the draft kicks in and Fraser and Hobbs are going to definitely get up there.
And what do they often say? It's a sitting duck situation. Here is Fraser, Hobbs, Athenaides, 3 wide in towards Lacombe. And your race leader is going to be Hobbs if we can make the outside line work.
Oh, that was close.
He is. And the thing is, notice at the rear of that picture still, the number 42 car of Hughes, he has been sat. He's not been going for positions at all. But Athenaides down into P number 4 right now, Linus. Although he tries to battle back up. They're 2 wide, 2 deep through Rivard. They head themselves towards Race Spot Corner. That left-hander. And well, Athenaides in 3rd place, but he's still got a lot of work to go.
Yeah, Simon Edwards made a little mistake to drop down to 5th. That's going to promote Hughes up to 4th, but I don't think that's going to be where he ends up actually. And Fraser in the lead, Jack Hobbs all over him, looking to find a little bit of a gap. But we've seen Fahim Antonides numerous of times taking the lead back in the last few corners of the lap. So do not count him out yet. If he can just get a good run out of this set of corners, he could very well be the leader coming to the last corner. We will see what happens.
Underneath the Vodafone Bridge on the exit of the Fangya chicane into Stavilo 1 for the final time. Cobra Paul Frere, Stavilo 2, call it what you want to, as they exit that one for the final time. It is Fraser from Hobbs, from Athenaides. Then you got yourself Hughes, and then you got yourself Edwards. But now it's all going to be about who has got the most fortitude. As Athenaides being boxed out there. Are they going to go 2 wide already? Number 361 car, Hobbs going for the race lead. Of course, you got yourself 2 championship rivals in this one. 3 wide in towards the final corner. There will
Here
come.
Hughes. Oh, he backs out.
And he does back out, but the winner of this one, oh my word, Hughes is going to drop. I cannot explain what just happened there.
Athenaides.
I know.
Look, Hughes.
Here he comes.
He's done it.
Oh my gosh, what
He's
a push
done
from
it.
Hughes.
I'm speechless.
Yeah, that was
more time to
incredible.
go, though.
One more. You can do
Can he
this.
get the run?
No, I don't think he's got it. Oh, unfortunate for Hughes.
Here comes
I don't
Hobbs,
think he's quite got it. Hobbs will have this one.
He will.
Oh.
What a move by Hughes, though. That was truly phenomenal.
Wow.
Words do not even English right now at what that Welshman just did on the racetrack. And I realise the irony of that statement, but that was one hell of a power move. I thought he was going to play Clark Williams all race long and wait for a mistake to take advantage. Only he did, and then he went full Bill Fraser and elbowed his way through 3 wide into the bus stop, which I have never seen before. They all make a mistake. Through he comes, gets contact from nearly everybody. What a run.
Pictures will tell the story for this one. We've been having a look on board of Hughes there. Yes, he does finish in 2nd place. Ironically, had the start-finish line been in its normal position, we would have had a new first-time winner on Monday Night Skippys. But I will say, I doff my cap to you. My cap to you there. For Hughes. I'll doff the cat as well. Yeah, I'll doff Race Spot cat to you as well. But I'll tell you what, that was fantastic. Jack Hobson, let's have a look on board with him. You see, he's behind, but he gets a much better run off of La Source and then just holds himself down. The acceleration helped him there. Jack Hobbs, your winner on Monday Night Skippys. I mean, Linus, 4-year anniversary we're talking about here. I mean, what a way to celebrate our 4 years. Fantastic final lap. Worth noting that Fahim ends up in P number 5, and we're going to have one more look at least of this.
Yeah, that was an outstanding finish. Shame for Hughes that he couldn't pull it off, but that was a close finish. Within a 10th of each other they were as well, and the top 4 within half a second. Fahim got some damage in that last chicane and dropped back quite a bit, but a championship leader is finishing 4th and 5th in this one, so that's a bit of a surprise.
Let's have a look one more time. You see, there's Hughes getting himself ahead as they come down in towards La Source. We'll go back on board with him now, but the issue is, Rachel, he just overcooks that corner. And you know what I often say about getting that first win? It seems to be he just overshot that corner by about 5 yards. Consequence to that, he ends up losing the motor race by under a 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, he certainly does, and what a performance, though. I almost think he deserves that one. If I'd have been Hobbs, I wouldn't have actually pushed it, because what he just succeeded with there was phenomenal. Too wide an exit, and it cost him a position, but I think that still has to go down as one of the biggest moves I've seen in a long time in this series. A phenomenal end to the race. What a mark for the 4th year.
Yeah, that was a fantastic, fantastic run there at the end of that. I'm just actually going to take a quick breath, shall we? As we're going to have a look then at your final race results here from Monday Night Skippies. Jack Hobbs wins then by less than a tenth of a second over Hughes. Phil Fraser in 3rd, Simon Edwards in 4th, and Fahim Atanides rounds out your top 5. Note the fact your top 4 drivers separated at the line by less than half of a second. Matt Cox leads your second pack home. Clark Williams in 7th, Sarah Taylor in 8th, Nick Sigley in 9th, and Anthony Katz rounds out your top 10. Behind, you've got yourself Robert Plumley in 11th, Paul Thurston in 12th, Ewan Patterson in 13th, Anthony Jones 14th, and Tony Stack rounding out your top 15. Barry West had incidents earlier, but he finishes in 16th with Rob Marshall, Tim Adcock, Charles Kellerman, and Carl Townsend. They are your top 20. The rest of the results coming up on your screen as we speak. We're going to take a quick break here on RaceSpotTV. We'll be back for post-race coverage after these messages.
What are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers.
Oh, there we go!
This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Frankie! Down to the inside of Hoosie's off!
Passenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up. I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR at Night Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
What a race. What a finish here at Spa for our 4-year anniversary broadcast of Club UK&I and Monday Night Skippys in support of the Calm Zone. Well, here's a look at your top 10 once again. It was Jack Hobbs claiming his first victory on M&S, with Hughes in second place, being just 76 one-thousandths of a second away from winning on his M&S debut. Bill Fraser third, Simon Edwards fourth, Fahim Atanides rounds out your top 5. And while Rachel, you have got Fahim Atanides with you now.
I do indeed, and Fahim, a phenomenal race in general. Tell us about that last lap.
You know, I thought I had it wrapped because I could see the guys to my right were going to outbreak themselves, and that's exactly what I did. But I knew that Mr. Hughes, whose first name I apologize, I don't know how to pronounce it, was not going to overshoot the chicane, but he was to my right. So I took a wide line into the chicane, pretty much in the middle of the chicane, to try and leave him enough room. But then, unfortunately, he mistimed his braking. He got a little bit too greedy, I think, and he couldn't keep a tight line going into the chicane. If you look at his onboard replay, he's on full lock. He can't turn the wheel anymore, and he's plowing forward straight. And that's when he hit me, and I bounced off and hit Jack. Otherwise, if we didn't make that contact, I'm sure I would have come out of that chicane ahead, and at that point it would have been, race one. And it's unfortunate when, whenever I went into one of these races, when I was starting out, I was very courteous to the championship leaders. When I wasn't a contender, I'd made sure that I wouldn't get in their way or be in a position where I could potentially cause an issue. But unfortunately, not everybody thinks that way. What?
Well, either way, sorry, Fahim,
you didn't like that?
Off camera. No, I had someone talking to me off camera. It just made it sound really awkward, like I didn't like that. No, racing is racing, but of course, your championship fight is still alive.
Yes, but it's things like this that eat into your margin. I was 3 points ahead. After this, I could have been maybe another 10 or 15 points ahead. But now, as it is, I'm a few points behind. So just got to make sure how many races left now. There's another 3 races left. Anything can happen, and it's very tight. Uncomfortable, but probably makes it more exciting for everyone else to watch.
I think there's 4 races remaining as we're on round 8 here, unless this is now.
Oh, yes, you're right. 4 races.
It is indeed 8.
Everything changes. He's happy again.
It is. He's happy now. He's got 4 rounds to work with. But Fahim, thanks for joining us. Of course, phenomenal race regardless.
Cheers. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you there to Fahim from Frostmaster Movano. We've got ourselves a couple more drivers to talk to. Linus, you have got yourself Baz West.
I do indeed, and Barry West. Well, talk us through your view on that race.
Yeah, well, that was a good battle early on. mid-pack fighting and giving way, and tried to encourage people not to fight each other, just to keep using the draft. And it did eventually end in tears for a few in front, and me and Tony got past, and we managed to survive incidents on the way, and then we decided to work together. And I could see teammate Paul in front of us, so we were trying to work together, but we need another car really. But yeah, we worked together and kept Rob a good distance behind. And then on the last lap, I shed gloves off, and he had the run on me coming out of Eau Rouge. He had the lead, and then I'm sorry, I had kept he had the run on me, but I kept the lead down to Les Combes, and all the way down to Beauville, you know, the back straight, and then he got me into the chicane. I let him go and took a faster line out, and we were neck and neck into the last corner. He was on the outside, I was on the inside. I got a better run than him out, and when we get to the line, I was about, I don't know, tyre width, half a tyre in it.
You started side by side and literally finished side by side, like 14 1,000 support, so it must have been a really good race.
It was, we worked well together, yeah, and pity not more cars around us, but towards the end, but yeah, it was good. And it sounds like there's a bit of a trouble at the front as well, but I haven't watched that yet. But yeah, this place gives good racing, doesn't it? You know, as long as you use the draft and don't fight each other too much for the last lap, yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, bananas in the points. 3 bananas in the points.
B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
Congrats to you guys on that, and good race, gaining, what is it, 11 positions, and see you next week, hopefully.
Yeah. Thanks, Dennis.
Over to you, Will.
Yeah, next up, I'm going to head it over to Paul Thurston, stood by Rachel Whiteford.
Indeed, we have Mr. Thurston, as we always do, Monday Night Skippys. A phenomenal run from you tonight, of course, Paul. And 12th place tonight. Spa is one of your favourite tracks.
Yeah, I've always liked Spa. I always say in sim racing, if you want to, there's one track you want to get a sense of speed, it's Spa, because I'm going back even to the Grand Prix Legends days. I mean, forgetting iRacing for a minute, you come out of a league race there, your eyeballs would be on stalks, you'd be sweating buckets, and it's just, you wouldn't get to sleep for about 3 hours afterwards, and it's much the same with this. That was just intense.
GPL Spa was a whole different kettle of fish.
Master
yeah,
kick.
it was, and the master kick. I took that flat once.
Wow, and survived.
I survived. I took it flat a lot of other times and didn't. Yeah, I got taken out in a league race by my teammate there once. I basically didn't go through flat, and he tried to just in front of me, stacked it, and I just piled into the back of him. Nothing I could do, but. Yeah, I like Spa. But it was a brilliant little battle there. I mean, it's so tactical. I made a couple of little mistakes. I've got new pedals. I've got the very wonderful HE Pros, which are pretty well as good as you can get now. And the difference it makes coming into that chicane. Basically, I can brake so much later and literally just pile on the anchors, come down the gears, and the back end doesn't step out, and I was just steering it around. I was out braking everybody into that chicane, which meant I could actually use the draft coming around, Burnhamville, Stavelot, whatever it is.
Baltimore.
That's the one. Yeah, I knew it was one of them. I used to know them all on the old Spa. But I was following around there, basically knowing that I could actually just sort of not worry about through the chicane, just follow them really close to the chicane, and then get a run on them out of there. And then on the last lap, coming down out of the source, it was hilarious. You had me, Ewan Patterson, and Anthony Jones, all coming round. Now I came round alongside, I think it was Ewan. And that was Anthony, and Anthony basically. I was on the outside, and then we were playing silly beggars. So neither of us wanted to be the first down into Eau Rouge. So I won that one. I just slotted in behind him, and just managed to be into the top, in front, and then just had to hold it for dear life, and then outbrake Ewan into the chicane because we were alongside coming into that. I just had to outbrake him, and with these pedals I could. Oh, it makes such a difference. But that was a great little race, brilliant fun. Can I just say, I don't agree with Fahim. I think it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're fighting someone in the championship. You fight someone in the race. No one should ever put another driver at risk, basically. But if you make a mistake, fine. But to me, there's no way. You know, you should be able to fight anybody, battle anybody you like if you're going for the win.
You're right on
irrespective of where they are.
And this is one thing that actually annoys me about IndyCar. Back in Deer, they used to have special sidewall tyres for the championship drivers. And actually, what I never liked that, because it almost feels as though those who are going for the championship are special, quote unquote, and not. Every driver has the opportunity to win a race, Paul. And I mean, yes, that move by Hughes, it was bold. He did overshoot, but the thing is, if that was a battle going on P number 15 and a driver overshot, no one would have cared.
No. Yeah, exactly. That's the point. I mean, even then, doesn't matter if it's 15th or first. You're still battling the same way. You've got to fight clean. You should never go into a corner basically knowing you're not going to make it or you're going to bounce off someone. That's the cardinal sin. It really is. But if you're just basically braking in good faith and you make a mistake and you slide forward, you start understeering that. Now, I don't know this incident. I haven't seen it. I'm not making a judgment on this incident. My point is more that it shouldn't make a difference whether you're fighting someone who's fighting for the championship or not.
I agree. Back to you, Rachel.
Indeed. Well, Paul, as always, it's been phenomenal having you join us, and very extra special that you're on the 4th anniversary of RaceSpot covering this. 4 years, and you've been, I think, in all of them. You are our veteran victim today.
Yes, I haven't been on all the broadcasts because I was on
for 4 years as well. Is what we mean.
Oh, much longer. I've been more like 7. Yeah. But I had a little sabbatical. My sabbatical when I was going and racing the Radical and the Rough and things in some of the other leagues that shan't be mentioned. So there was a short time, and that's when you started. But then I came back. I've been doing 3 years or so in this. I really look forward to this. Genuinely, it sounds a bit sad, but this is the highlight of my week. I love these races. I love bobbing in afterwards for a chat. It's just like proper club racing, really. This.
I have to say, Paul, having you hop in for a chat pretty much every race is one of the highlights of our broadcast, because you're one of our regulars we get to talk to, and your cup of tea, Paul, which I'm sure you're going to have to go and make again in a minute. But
I do forget to have a drink before the race. I'm a bit parched at the moment.
I think we still have Barry standing by as well.
Yeah.
As one of the bananas, we'll talk to you at the same time. Barry.
We just have.
Have we?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, but you've also... Okay, but what I'm saying is...
So good you talked to him twice.
Let me finish. Kanye. Gosh.
Oh, that's appropriation right there.
Harsh as well.
Barry, you've been in this series almost as long as Paul. What are your thoughts on how this series has evolved?
It is brilliant. I mean, you know, I'm not one of the fast guys because I only do it Monday nights.
Who cares? It's club racing.
It's just so much fun. And I was going to say in my interview earlier that the standard of racing, I mean, Tony, we had brilliant racing, and some of the standard of racing is excellent. You know, if you had this on real life tracks, it is. It's just everybody treats it like it is, I suppose. But it's just magical. It is magical. I mean, and I think the slower the cars, the better the racing. I mean, my speciality is a Lotus 79, but you know, you've got to put so many hours in that one. But this car, you can just jump into it. Once you know the track and the little nuances, you can race with anybody. It's just so good, and it's such a wonderful series, and it's wonderful you guys do it. I mean, it must be fun to watch as well. I mean, I love watching the replays.
It's fun because of you guys, to be brutally honest. You are what makes this series. You and every other driver who takes part in Monday Night Skippies, whether it's your first race or I dread to think of the number of races that old Paul here has, but at the same time, several indeed. But to every single driver in this series, you are what makes Monday Night Skippies. You guys are what makes this series special.
Shucks, Rachel.
I checked my stats today, and I've done 32,000 laps, I think.
Oof. There you go. That's all in this, isn't it?
That's just this week.
Right, Plumley.
I will say one thing before we go, actually, Paul. You talk about a number of fantastic things here, but in terms of, you know, this series, as it's been over the last few years, I mean, it has grown, and as I said earlier on, we've seen the likes of Sebastian Job, Blake Townend, take part in this event over the years. We've seen Benny Simonson take part in this one. But the thing is, people come and go, but there are people that have done 150 plus races on Monday Night Skippys on RaceSpotTV. How does it feel to be a part of a community that every Monday night they go out, they race, they have fun, they shout, they argue, they complain, and the next week they're back again?
It's a difficult question to answer, actually. I mean, I feel part of this. I'm loath to call it a community. I mean, it's a family, because the arguments are more like in a family. But today, Tim. I've been racing Tim in this series since before RaceSpot days, and Stuart. But Tim and I today, we came into Blanchimont side by side at one point. He was on the inside, I was on the outside. I think I had the edge, but because I've known him for years, and I know that if I go side by side with him, he's not going to take me out. So basically, I gave him space, he gave me space. We went out side by side. We both got round. He then, I think he lost it into the chicane, but he did it without taking anybody out or anything. Now, I remember once at Spa, a long time ago, pre-broadcast, I made a bit of a mistake into Lassour's first lap. I thought there was a gap up the inside, and when everybody else was going on the outside, braked. My brakes completely locked up, because there was a problem with the brake pedal, he claims. And I wiped Tim out. I just T-boned him. He wasn't happy with me for a while. But you get over that. You race people week on week. Last week we had a little bit of a coming together, which might have been my fault. I haven't looked. But there's other people there you can look up there. As you say, Seymour Harding, a lovely bloke. I mean, he's come out. He comes out to help with the World Cup. Loads of people here do. Some of the newer ones who haven't been here quite so long. I mean, Ewan Patterson. Just looking at there, Matt Cox he's been here a while, but they're all solid drivers. Some of them are quicker than me, some of them are slower. Doesn't matter. Anybody in this series who needed a setup would just have to ask, and someone would provide a setup. It's it's a family.
Well, thank you very much.
And you're part of it, very much part of it. And the success of this series, really, the big success, the big grids, are to a great extent down to two things. One, Alan Patterson, yes, who is absolute legend. I mean, he just sticks by this series. There were like 5 cars racing at one point, and he's pulled it up from there. And RaceSpot, because people see the racing, they see us doing this, and they think, oh, that looks fun. And by golly, it is fun. And so they come along and they get welcomed in. I mean, people come in, some of them are quick. I was actually surprised that Lando Norris didn't turn up, because I noticed he was practicing this week. I thought he might turn up and show us the way home. But he's got nothing to do this week, has he?
No. Well, I mean, Paul, again, thank you. I will say one thing. You've invested all that money in terms of a new set of pedals. We figure out what your noise is, please, on your microphone. Do we even have to buy you a new microphone for the next 4 years?
Well, the thing is, I've got it's a pair of Sennheisers with a built-in mic, so no, it's not actually great. I did have a separate mic before, but the headphones were no good, so it's finding a pair of headphones with a decent mic. Such a thing doesn't exist.
Do it.
I feel Rachel. We're not going to give him a Shure SM7B, but I've got a couple of microphones at home and a spare couple of microphone arms. I'll send one over, Rachel.
There we go. We'll sort Paul out. So his broadcast interviews always sound phenomenal, because he's here all the time.
You're a gentleman, sir.
Yeah. But before we go, Rachel, I mean, I want to say something here. It's that I remember 4 years ago when we did our first broadcast, and the guys at BSR TV, they had basically reached their capacity. They couldn't do any more broadcasts. And they asked us very graciously if we could take it over. I remember the first broadcast wasn't great because we had issues getting into the server. Like everything on RaceSpotTV, the first time we do anything, it doesn't work the way we want it to do. But we've had 2 amazing charitable partners over the years. We've had Shelter, and we've had the Campaign Against Living Miserably, Calm. And I will say one thing here. We have never asked for any money to be paid for these broadcasts here on Monday Night Skippys. But what we have done is we've shown fantastic racing and raised awareness for 2 fantastic causes.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And you know what? Monday Night Skippies has become an institution for me. I know it has been for you, Will, for a long time, and for Linus as well. This is what I do on Monday nights.
Yeah.
Just as much as these drivers come along and race, no matter what else I do, and I don't do a lot of sim racing commentary anymore. I mean, I have my other YouTube stuff to focus on. But you know what? It's the reason why my streams I do aren't earlier in the evening, because Mondays, it's Monday Night Skippies. It's got to be done. It's the thing I do. And I wouldn't give this up for the world. You will have to drag me kicking and screaming off this series. It's become part of my life, to be honest, to an extent, like it has for some of these drivers. And that is largely down to people like Alan Patterson, like has been mentioned, who made this what it is. And to the drivers, every single one of you. And to you, Will, and to RaceSpot. This series is basically an institution in iRacing. It's probably one of the longest running series, if anything.
I was actually just trying to work that one out. I think it's alongside the 2K World Cup. Ironically, another Skippy series. Sunday Night Skippies and Monday Night Skippies going together. But Linus, there's been so many great memories over the years. And this series continues to get bigger and bigger. And of course, World Cup UK and Ireland, we have seen it produce some... All the other teams in terms of the World Cup are scared of running a Skippy series because of the fact that they know that UK and Ireland will show up and do remarkably well.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of UK drivers are doing the Skippies, and well, to be honest, if I was a UK&I driver, I would not be commentating this, I would be racing, because it seems like it's so much fun and there is skills on every single level, and we've seen a lot of drivers develop in this series and turn into really good drivers, like Job, for example, and Fahim is turning out to be really, really good as well, and Fraser and all those guys. So it's I would think that UK&I might have some of the best Skippy drivers on iRacing at the moment, much thanks to this series.
Yeah, and we've seen it develop over the years. Rachel, before we actually go off air, I want to ask you a question. The best driver over the last 4 years in Monday Night Skippy?
That's a horrible question to ask me.
I know.
You know what? I am going to pick one driver. And this might be a bit of shock, but back when this guy first started, which was not long before I started commentating on this, every single race he got into a crash. Nearly every race. Like, he'd get towards the front and then would crash out, usually at his own fault.
We'd always talk about it every single race when it was going to happen.
Yeah, but he has turned into a phenomenal driver, a world-class driver. He's been picked up by a world-class team. I'm actually going to say Fahim Antonades is the driver for me of the UK&I Skippies. He has been the guy who has changed the most, who has improved the most, who's become a champion, and the guy has basically been a model for what this series can turn people into. I mean, you see plenty of other drivers come up to the ranks and do the same sort of stuff, but he was there when I started, and to me, Fahim has been Monday Night Skippies.
Well, I will say one thing before we go off air. To every single other broadcaster out there, to every other single team and club out there, have a look at what's been achieved over the 4 years on Monday Night Skippies on RaceSpotTV and previously on BSR TV, and have a look at what it does in terms of driver development. Because I will say one thing: if you want to win a World Cup of iRacing, you need to have club level racing at the intensity that we see week in, week out at Monday Night Skippies. And again, Rachel, you will know. The race that stands out in my head was that one at Sonoma, 3 wide, pretty much every corner of every single lap.
I remember that race.
That race. It stands out.
I remember that race. Yeah, it does. It was phenomenal, but that signifies what we see in this almost all the time. There are some races that are more quiet, more single file. But like I said, it's almost to the point now where I don't need to look at the cars. I don't need to look at the drivers. I know who's who, and you know, you see the sort of racing you're gonna get from the grid. You know, you look at the times. We talked about that 1 second bracket. We know this thing. These guys don't ever disappoint us. They almost run to formula now.
And I will say one thing as well. The Campaign Against Living Miserably, CALM, is our charitable partner here on RaceSpotTV. We do not charge UK and Ireland a cent for running this series. But what we do hope is that at least one person will have a look at our broadcast, realize who our charitable partner is, and actually, if they need to, go and get themselves some help. The Campaign Against Living Miserably is there to support the biggest killer of males under the age of 45. And that is mental health illnesses. And we are proud to be a partner with them. Been with them for the last year or so now. Also like to say thank you to Isvan Balao, TrackCam22.com, Andres1 and And1 Design for our overlay. They've been with us pretty much since day one as well. Our development has been done by Simon Grossman at AppsNew.com. Our live timing and scoring by Nick Thisson and RaceSpotTV, live timing and scoring. That is it. 4 years of RaceSpotTV, Monday Night Skippies, Club UK and Ireland. Calm is in the books. Thank you so much to Rachel Whiteford and Lena Spa-Francorchamps, and also to Connery Maddock for helping this journey over the course of the last 4 years. It has been an incredible one, and will continue to do so for the next 4 years, but that is what it takes. We'll be back, though, next week for another round of this one. I want to leave you with one image. Look at that. The drivers storming down in towards Lacombe. This was not some form of parade lap. This was literally drivers running at full pelt. This is Monday Night Skippies, and we'll see you all next week. Good night from Spa-Francorchamps.